Hi everybody, this is Tracy with the Rhapsody Art Barn, and I'm back here on a Saturday to show you a little more of what I'm doing. Today I'm working on some molding trim, some appliques that I'm making, and I'm using the Redesign by Prima molds, and I'll set you up to watch me in a sec. And I'm also using their modeling clay. So I have that here in the shop available to purchase. But right now I'm using it on a table that I'm doing, and I will show you what I've been working on here. So this table here has them already on part of it. Oops. I don't know if I can get you. I'm trying not to move the camera too much because I have it all set up so that you can watch me work. So that's what we're going to be doing today. And you can see there's lots of places on this table that aren't done. So I've done 3 of them and I've got 3 more to go. So I'll just show you what I'm doing here. So I'll turn you down away from me. And this is what I tried not to screw up. So you can see what I'm doing here. There we go. Okay. So these molds here, I want to say they run $18 for this whole set. So you get all these in this one set. They have lots of different designs. And I have just a little paintbrush that I'm using to put a little bit of cornstarch, and I kind of tap it all over into the mold before applying some of the modeling clay. And that's just so that it comes out nice and easy. I have done it without, and it does still come out, but this way none of the product ends up in the mold, and it's much easier to clean at the end. And since I'm doing multiple pieces, I want to make sure that they're all done right. Okay, so now that's all done. It's just got a little coating in there, but there's no clumps, so it won't pick up or leave any of the modeling clay in there. So this modeling clay comes in, dropping things, comes in chunks, pieces, and there are lots of them in here. This is 2 pounds, and we also have smaller, if you didn't want to do that much, containers that you can purchase. And it's Redesign with Prima. The Dixie Belle website also has them. I'm just going to take off about a chunk like that size, and I'm going to leave it in the bucket because I only want to use a little at a time so that I can make sure that it doesn't dry out, because I've got more to make. So I kind of know from doing them about how much I need, but it's just a matter of working it into the mold. And you can do that just by adding little pieces at a time. I kind of just added a big piece because, like I said, I've been doing them. So, just sitting here at the art barn today. It was snowing this morning, it's March, which I guess happens every once in a while here in Salem in March. So I never take off my snow tires just in case until that we have to. I think it's the end of March we have to. But it'll probably be just one day. We usually just get 1 or 2 days and then it's done. Okay, so I'm just pushing this into the mold. As you can see, it's like playing with Play-Doh. I know you guys all probably did that when you were growing up, so it's not a novel experience. But especially where there are little areas where we don't need as much product, I just take it off and put it into a little ball over here. Try to make it as flat as possible because I'm going onto a flat surface. So I don't want a big puffy mound on the back, obviously. So as I take these little pieces off and make it as flat as I can, I can add them to the other end here. If that music isn't too loud for you guys, just sit and listen to it while I'm working. Okay. I've also got the monitor on for Ella, my grandbaby. My kids ran to the store, so if you hear that, she just went down though, so you probably won't. Okay, so you can see where the mold here goes in and out. You can kind of push it around the edges here to see how far back the mold actually goes. And I got it a little thick on the back, but there is a piece right here. There's two actually where it's supposed to come through. Can you see that? So you just kind of play with it until it's smooth. It does set up pretty fast though, so you can only play with it so long, and then so that's how much I have left over. Pretty good guess, and I can just stick it back onto another piece. And like I said, I've got 2 more after this to do. I also wanted to try something else. I wanted to try to do this same mold with hot glue, because I've never done that, but I've seen other people who've used hot glue and then it's set up really fast. I'm gonna try that here. I've got a glue gun. I know that it's recommended to use a larger glue gun, and I don't have my larger one here, so I just don't know if it's gonna work out with the smaller one, but I thought maybe I'd try. So I plugged it in and I've got it. I was gonna try that as well. Okay. You can see it's pretty good. It's pretty flat. I just want to get the edges. So if they still have rough edges when you take it off and apply it to the piece, I just use an X-Acto knife, a little razor blade, to take off the rest while it's on the piece. So it's not, especially if it's thin, like these edges are thinner, it will come off if you get it over the edge. The best thing to do is to get it as flat as you can, not to go over that way, because then you adhere it smoothly to the piece. Okay, so it's all in there. You can see pretty crisp edges. You can take it back where there aren't. Like I said, I can use an X-Acto knife if I have to. So now, I do is these are very flexible molds, and so I try at the biggest piece so that it doesn't break to hold it and lay it down. I'll try to show you guys. Here, I'm backing up. It just comes right out, especially with that cornstarch. So now, there is a right side up with these. They have a pattern. And what I usually do, because I've worked with clay in the past, and this may or may not help, but I do it because it reminds me of clay when I'm working on these, is I score them. So I just take my little plastic knife here with the rough edges, and I score it a little bit, especially in those weaker places at the edges. Kind of go back and forth. You could probably use any knife or tool that just pricks the edge. But that's what I do, and I know not everybody does this, so I'm sure it works fine without it. I'm applying it to a piece upright, and I can't lay the piece on its side easily, so this way it allows me to apply it. Now I'm gonna move you over to another camera. So I'm gonna put you over here so you can see again, and you can watch what I'm doing. I'm gonna apply you to my stand-up light so that hopefully you can watch me apply this to the actual furniture. Okay, so we need glue, and I use the Tight Bond. This is quick and thick, and the quick and thick just simply means that it's a little bit easier to apply to upright surfaces because it's nice and thick. So I'm literally just putting it on with the end of the glue container all over my piece, and I don't want to do it too thick on the edges because it will ooze out around my piece and it's hard to get off. So if I do get a glop that's too big, I try to smooth it out. In this case, I'll just use the back of this knife. Just make sure it's all the way to the edges, but it's not going to smush out the sides. Smush and ooze and gloop and all that good stuff that happens with glue. Okay, so as you see, it's pretty covered. Now, I know with trim pieces, oh, I forgot which side is up and which side is down. Hold on. This over there. And I just eyeball. Once it's on though, you can't really move around too much. You can kind of bend it around a little bit. I know with trim pieces like this, a lot of people have cracking, and it can happen that this piece, as it dries really fast and brittle, and you can have cracks in this modeling material. You can have cracks in almost any modeling material. I don't know about the glue. Hot glue probably not, as it's not as flexible. But I like how this adheres to the piece so quickly. See, it's stuck on there. I can't really move. I could if I had to, and then I'd have to redo where the glue would be left. But I don't have to. I have this little handy tool. I don't even know where I got it. It's like this little ball at the end. It probably came in one of my sets. And I just kind of go around the edges while it's still really wet. You could do, like I said, an X-Acto knife works too. And just making sure there's no rough edges and no glue. That's easily seen. And if it's a big piece, or if it's something that doesn't come off easily, don't ruin your design over it. Get a sharper object, an X-Acto knife. Usually will cut it off. And the glue will dry. It'll dry clearer than the way it is now. And I just make sure each little edge is pushed down real well. Then what I do is I spritz it with the mister bottle. I have these in stock, but these are mister bottles. These are not spray bottles. They do a fine mist, and they're continuous. If you pump it, it'll keep misting, and that's great for using our paint, the chalk paint, the Dixie Belle. Okay, so what I'm gonna do right now while it's still wet, oops, this is a new roll of paper towels. I'm just gonna take that piece off. A little piece of paper towel. And I'm gonna spray it with water. It's just water. And I already sprayed this, misted it with water, and I'm just gonna lay it over it. This might be too heavy. I might have to take that piece off. Hold on. Making a mess. So this has to be kind of wet to do this. Not super wet, but in order to stick to the mold, it's got to be kind of damp. And then sometimes you can lay it on its side and it'll stay longer that way, obviously. But all I'm trying to do is to get it to dry a little more evenly so it doesn't crack as much. if it cracks, and I can show you this later, I can do another video. If this ends up cracking and having really big cracks in it, our Dixie Belle mud, which comes in brown, black, or white, will fill those patches and it'll fill it solidly. And I, again, use just a small tool and just kind of lightly paint over those cracks. Super easy, especially if you're gonna paint it, because you're not gonna really see the cracks if it's mudded. You can use whatever color that way. If you're gonna paint it and distress it, then use the color you're gonna distress to. So if you're gonna paint it, if you're gonna paint that and then you want the wood to show underneath, then use a brown mud. But this is white anyway, so it doesn't really matter. We're gonna not distress it down to the white. So this will dry, it'll be dry by tomorrow. It'll dry before then, but it'll be hard by tomorrow. So I just wanted to show you that process, and I'm gonna work on the other two. I'm gonna try a hot glue process as well, and if it works out, maybe I'll do a video. So if you like this video, please share it, and I post everything on my Facebook page, and you can come back and see the piece when it's all done. So I'll put my link down there if you want any of my products, or visit rhapsody.com, rhapsodyartbarn.com. Thanks, have a great day.